joining us again this evening. I'm sure you're excited to be here because I am very excited to be here. I look forward to everything I'm going to learn today, and I'm sure you do that as well. So, my name is Faith, and I welcome everyone to the March edition of the monthly meet and chat with the professionals. So, you might be wondering, who are we? We are the Finance Business Partners, a community of finance and accounting professionals committed to changing the narrative of the finance professions. We do this by providing mentoring and coaching services to young individuals who want to build a career in accounting, finance, business partnering, and related fields. Moving on, today's meet and chat centers on mastering soft skills for young professionals. You know, in a world that is becoming more digital, computerized, and automated, what differentiates you from others competing for the same position is soft skills. And these soft skills are what we need for career advancement, as it is what transforms you and I from an average professional into an outstanding one. Today we'll be learning from an expert as he shares us tips on as how best to develop these critical skills. And I'm sure you are ready to learn this evening. And I am also ready to learn this evening. And yes, we've invited our expert, Mr. Adeleye Ebenezer, as he will be like giving us tips on how best to develop our these critical soft skills. And also in the course of the meeting or the webinar, if you have any questions or contributions that you would like to share, kindly use the chat box as our guest speaker would attend to these questions when it's done. Also, if you're not a member of this community and you wish to be a part of us, the link to our engagement platforms will be in the chat box. Mr. Adeleye Ebenezer, you have the stage now.
Okay, good evening, everyone. If you can hear me, just please smash your mute and let me know.
I can hear you.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Okay,
All right, it's a privilege being here again. Thank you so much, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Yeah, Faith, I think I prefer Ebenezer. Ebenezer is very fun. You don't have to put Mr.
Okay, no problem.
Ebenezer is very, very fine, actually. I love my name. In fact, you can call me Eben. So it's a privilege being here again, and I mean it's a very big pleasure to be on this platform again. I think it was the same almost around this time last year that I was on this platform as well to take us through the use of Tax Pro Max and the filing of our CIT. And I don't know if it is coincidental or they just decided to set me up this match again. But it's a very very big privilege, like I said earlier. And what we're going to be learning today is something that is not technical, but it's technical. It's not technical in the sense that it does not apply to any particular job or any particular profession. So if you probably have people that are not in the accounting or finance industry, you feel like they can also learn from what we are going to be talking about today, you can just invite them and let them just to partake in what we are going to be sharing. You know, as professionals, one of the things that cuts across the accountants, the software engineers, the medical doctors, and name the profession, lawyers, and all of those things, is the fact that our attitude and the way we interact with our work and the environment where we work is actually the same across all of these professions. Of course, the hard skills, the technicalities are different. Maybe medical doctors don't use Excel. Well, if a medical doctor does not know how to use Excel, that can still pass. But for an accountant, I don't know how you want to do it. You know, maybe an architect may not know how to use what they call it, a microscope, for instance. Now, but as a scientist, you cannot do without that. Maybe as a medical lab scientist, you cannot do without that rather. One of what we are talking about today cuts across actually every profession, and that is the reason why it's actually very, very important. I'm just going to be sharing my screen right now to there is a very little guide I prepared for us to be able to use today. So let me be sure this is on presentation mode. Okay, just give me a minute for that. So please give me a minute for this. I'm trying to make sure it is. I don't want to share what I'm not supposed to share. Okay, that's fine. Let me just share it. GitHub. So let me know when you can see my screen, please.
Yeah, I can see your screen.
Okay, so all right, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for that. So basically what we're talking about today is mastering soft skills for young professionals, mastering soft skills for young professionals. And of course, like Faith said, I'm not Mr. Ebenezer Adeleye. Of course, I'm a Mr., but I prefer to be addressed as Ebenezer Adeleye. That's very fine. So I'm a graduate of agricultural economics from Obafemi Awolowo University. I am a chartered accountant. I think that should suffice. So straight to our business of the day. Okay, so what is our agenda for today? In this, I think I will have to, please just give me 30 seconds. Let me keep two tabs, so I'll be able to control the slides as well on one side. Okay, I think this is the tab, okay. All right, I think we are good now. Okay. All right, fine. So basically, what is our agenda for the day? Like, who had the 4-point agenda? Who can remind us of the politician that had the 4-point agenda? I mean, it's a meet and chat, so it's going to be a bit interactive as well. So, I mean, that's what we called it, right? A meet and chat. So, look at the president. So, if you are going to maybe talk, please unmute yourself and say what you want to say, then put your mute back. So we keep the meeting as organized as possible. So who can remind us of that head of state or president that had a 4-point agenda? Just to save our time, I think I'll just
Umar Musa Yar'Adua.
No, not good luck. It was not. No, okay, it's none of those people. Okay, let me just say it. Keep our time as well. Okay, yes, Aishat Hosseini. The slides will be shared after the meeting. But this slide is actually just a guide. So a lot of things I'll be saying might be off this slide. So you might just also want to keep a note, that you can actually refer to even several years after this meeting or later after this meeting, So, and basically just also keep, just to avoid distraction as well. If you have a question, you can note it. Please note it down. I think when I get to the 5th slide or the 5th page rather, I'll give a little allowance for questions, then I'll answer. Then when I get to the final page 2, I'll open the floor for questions, and I'm going to be taking the questions. But for now, you can just note your questions down, and just to be able to avoid distractions, basically. So actually, the head of state or the president that had that 4-point agenda was Obafemi Awolowo. So that was what, according to history and what I read and what I heard, that was what he used for his campaign all through his campaign period. It was always talking about those agenda. So basically, what is our own agenda for the day? I've said that the purpose of our training is to advocate the importance of soft skills to workplace success among young professionals. So actually, the reason for this meeting is to make young professionals like me see the fact that these soft skill that this particular topic is actually a very important thing. In fact, it is not that you can succeed without soft skills. It is impossible to succeed in today's workplace without soft skills, without the essential abilities that you need to interact properly with your environment and the people that you work with. Even if you are a sole proprietor, you cannot do all the work yourself, trust me. You probably at some point need to hire an accountant, need to hire someone. Or even if you don't hire anybody, at least you'll be working for people now. If you sell a service, you have clients. If you sell goods, if you sell goods, you have customers. So basically, it's just to make us understand the fact that this term soft skills is a very, very important part of every professional's career, and that should be handled seriously. So what are the things that we're going to be looking at? We're going to be looking at understanding soft skills. Okay, what is this soft skill? What is it about? What does it entail? Second thing we're going to be looking at is the importance of soft skills. And what the third thing we're going to be looking at is learning soft skills. Soft skills can be learned, and that's the reason why we are here. So how do we actually learn soft skills? How do we learn it? It's not something that we can all learn. We can learn in a day. We can finish learning in a day. And we'll just keep learning, just like every other thing is that we learn is. So basically, that is the reason why we are here. And the third thing we're going to be talking about is learning soft skills once again. Then the last thing that we're going to be looking at is soft skills for workplace success. Soft skills. What are those soft skills that we actually need? What are even the essential ones that we actually need, like firsthand, for us to be successful in our career and profession. So if you can see this slide, I have two meme frames here. The first one is, and I'm very sure it's something that we can actually really relate with very well. That the first meme frame says that in interview, I can see someone laughing already. The person said in interview, the person was like, I can work well under pressure. When you're at the front of that interview, you're like, don't worry, I can work well under pressure. I can handle stress. I can do all of those things. But when you get to the pressure, when the pressure hits you, when the pressure actually hits you, a lot of accountants will actually be able to relate with what I'm talking about, because this is the busy season for most of us, and this thing is actually really eating you. Like I am like this now. I'm very sure if I sleep tonight, I will have questions to answer tomorrow morning. That's just the truth. Even if I will sleep at all, it can't be until maybe past 2 a.m. this night, because I have work to do. I have a lot of work to do, and this is what I believe this is what we can actually really relate with. And we see a lot of reactions when pressure actually hits people. And I feel like one of the first things that people have to understand is that, in today's profession, especially there will be times that you have to make compromises. There will be times that you have to make a little sacrifice just to get the job, keep it. You cannot at all. I had a cousin that came around. He was working here in Nigeria, but he went on secondment in Oman, and they just came around. It was like just gisting me, and he was telling me how chilled work is over there. The fact that by 4 p.m. even senior managers are already carrying their bags and going home. And if you are at the office by 4 p.m., they are looking like you as, is there something wrong? Do you fight with your wife at home? Why are you not going home? But alas, here we are in Nigeria. On last Thursday, I was still at the office by 8 p.m. and it was like it is still afternoon. Because I was not. It was not as if I'm not trying to advocate that people should not have work-life balance. I'm just saying that when you have deliverables rather, there are times that you have to make sacrifices. And that's what the first meme frame is talking about. The second meme frame is saying, hey, can you put together an in-depth Excel spreadsheet? On your resume, it said you were proficient. Then you are looking at the person like, because I can really relate with this, because you already have your table full already. Someone is still coming and saying that, guy, you said you can do this. I saw it on your resume. please, can you help us handle this thing? And you cannot turn it down. You cannot say no. You cannot say, a lot of us, I think I should open, tell us one lie that is on your CV, maybe in the past or it's still there. So, okay, this is how we're going to do it. Trust me, you can, for the sake of nobody's going to pick on you, you can say that it is in the past, even though we probably know that it's still there anyways. But a lot of, let me just get this job first. I'll learn anything I'm supposed to learn. So, in the space of maybe 2 minutes, just, okay, maybe know yourself. I think there's a way you can raise your hand electronically, and then unmute yourself and tell us one lie that you know that people put on their CV just to be able to get jobs. I'm very sure this thing is that we can all, okay, Omodara Faith, please, you have the floor.
Okay, some people used to say, oh, I'm a multitasker, I can do plenty things at the same time.
I can relate. I can actually relate to that. Relate with that rather. So who else? So you can do this one, you can do that one. I used to be like that too. I used to work for a firm where I'm the social media manager. I was the social media manager. I was at some point almost, it was so overwhelming. It was really overwhelming. So I mean, that is one thing that we all say, and it's not something that we should lie about. Actually, something that we can learn. So do we have another person? Do you have another person before we move ahead?
Yes,
I mean, it's the meet and chat. Okay, please, I can't really see it because I've minimized my screen. Okay.
Senewo Dare was raising his hand at some point.
Okay, please don't feel shy, please. It's a meet and chat, please. Let's chat. Let's have this chat, please. So, Dari, please, you have the floor.
Okay. Then I think Mr. Idris is raising up his hand.
Okay. Idris, I think you have the floor.
Okay,
Idris,
so
please.
at my present place of work, there is this term that we do use, especially when one does rubbish, like we say someone has cooked beans. So in people's CV, you see stuff like ability to work under pressure and under minimal supervision. The truth is, if you are getting into a new work environment and you are working under minimal supervision, it's most likely you are going to be cooking beans for the first few months of your stay there. So you're not going to be doing rubbish.
Yeah. You are very right, Idris. You are very, very right. You are very correct. And you are not the only one that used the term. I think I had the term first when I was in OAU. So this person has cooked beans. Although she exam here, after you think you have killed the exam. Sorry for using that. After you have killed the exam, you feel like I've finished this exam, and then you went outside and then you meet that your friend, that the best student in your class, and the guy is saying that this thing is not like this. You first calm down and be like, but this year, I've cooked beans. Those people that will talk to you and you'll be like, this guy cannot be wrong. This guy cannot just be wrong. Okay, Dari, you have the floor, please.
Hello, good day, sir. Sometimes I just got another offer now, which I'm just 2 months in provisions, and some of things I proved to my really see me messing up, and he was telling me more professionals if I would really stay. So
yeah, I get
offering
that.
him now is different from what I really gave to him during my interview. So and he was surprised because of I told him that I can work with little without supervision. Which is really telling on me
we've all been there. Trust me, Dari.
Of how to because it's another new rules, it's another new work environment, and I need to be able to do before I can even proceed. So these are some of the things.
I get that. Thank you so much for sharing. Chioma Okori, I think Chioma Okori will be the last person we're going to take before we move forward. Okay, Chioma Okori, I think you have the floor now, please.
Okay, there is also one thing, like for instance, in my CV, I know the time I was applying for one of my jobs, like my current job, I have something on my CV, people management skills. That one is also another people management skills. When you now employ, you now start fighting with all your colleagues and the
So thank you everyone for sharing. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I mean, I already knew that this is something that I can easily like relate with, and it's something that we all have been in that position at some point or the other. And the truth is that what are we actually trying to do? Because if we check it very well, some of these things that we are applying for, we have the technical skills. Accountants, we have prepared financial statements, we have worked in places like, but just to be able to get that job, to put some lies. And if you check most of the things that we put in our CVs, you know, they are not actually technical things most of the time, like these people management skills, like Chema just shared, you know, working under pressure, crisis management. All of these things are not things that ICANN is already incorporated soft skills into their syllabus, and I think CIPM already did too. You know, and that's because they are already seeing like the importance of this particular skill to the success of professionals. You know, all of these things are not basically maybe use of Excel and all of those things, because if it's about that, trust me, there are 1,001 people that can do the same thing efficiently. But you want to like be able to appeal to the judgment of the interviewer to see that this is who I am, you know, this is who I am. I am emotionally intelligent. I can work under pressure. I can do this. I can do that. Why? Because you are trying to let the interviewer get a perception of the kind of person that you are, even if it is not the person that you are at that particular point. You know, you are trying to let the interviewer get the perception of who you actually are. And it shows that deep down there, we all actually know in a way what interviewers expect. Of course, you know that interviewers like will give preference to people that have good teamwork abilities, you know, people that can work well in teams, people that have good communication skills, listen well, and communicate their ideas appropriately, and all of those things. So the issue right now is now learning those things, so that it is no longer what we are using to appeal to interviewers. It's now what is now part of us. That we have now come to the place where we now understand that this thing, I cannot be outstanding as a professional without these things. You know, I cannot be outstanding as a professional without these things. And it's now when we now get to that point, now we now begin to put in the work. You know, now begin to put in the work and the diligence to now begin to learn, like, what are the things that are required of me as a professional. You know, I always tell people, you know, anybody that I talk to, I will say that, see, there's a difference between being a technician and being a professional. The basic difference between being a technician and a professional is just soft skills. A technician is just, you know, who they call Omoshe in Yoruba. I'm so sorry for using that word. You know, and like you can see, I'm not trying to like tag anything, but you know, for ICANN now we have the basic accounting technician scheme. Then we have like the foundation, intermediate, and the professional. What makes the difference between both? If you quickly do a Google search on Google, if you have a quick Google search now and you type, okay, who's an accounting technician? Google will bring it out to you, the functions of an accounting technician, maybe to impute, to prepare basic fund position, to impute financial data, to, you know, help with few technical things, you know, and, you know, there's that part, there's that position. And now there's the position of being a professional. There's that place of being a professional. Being a professional is beyond knowing how to use VLOOKUP, knowing how to using Excel, you know, knowing how to use accounting software. Is beyond that, you know. And this is now what we are saying, that this, you know, even companies are now beginning to realize that, are now beginning to realize the place of soft skills. Chama Okoro, you are still raising your hand. Do you have anything to say, please? Chama Okoro, you are still raising your hand. Is it that you have? Okay, I'll just take that as a mistake. So I'll move ahead. So companies are beginning to like understand that the fact that these things are very, very important. And from my own observation, most of the skills that I have been taking, even from like at least I've worked in 4 professional services firm now. Most of the trainings I've taken, they are not basically about my technical abilities, so because they believe all of those things I can learn them in the office. Like all of the external trainings I've had to take, they are basically on something related to soft skills. So basically, so that is what this is about now. That's what this is about. Let's move forward. So understanding soft skills, I said soft skills versus hard skills. I mean, I believe I've mentioned a lot of these things in passing. Soft skills are people skills that enable us to interact effectively and harmoniously with other people and the environment. So you see that there's nothing here that is about techniques or technical abilities. I'm not trying to play down on technical abilities. Please, technical abilities is very, very important. But if you don't know how to, even if you are the best Excel expert and you don't know how to work in the team, what is the essence? It's just a matter of time. You frustrate everyone to leave the team. It's either you leave the team for them or they leave the team for you. And then you'll be a one-man team. You know, that is just what it is. That's what it is. So you have to learn as a professional to be able to interact with your environment harmoniously. Harmoniously means peacefully. And what is the environment that we are talking about? We are not talking about the pillars and the pole or the table and the chair of your office. We are talking about the people in your environment. What is the peculiarity of that industry that you work in? For instance, I've always worked in the professional services firm now. I mean, so one thing I've come to understand is that is very, very that is a big that creates a very big difference with people that are in the industry is the fact that we have to interface a lot with clients. And you know, I remember the very, very first firm I worked at. You know, I was an intern there. I interned there for I interned for about 6 months or thereabouts. You know, one of the things that I realized that I had to learn that I did not learn on time was the fact that I had to learn to be able to talk to the clients. There's a way to talk to clients. You know, I remember very well. You know, there was a woman I called one day. We were trying to ask for a document to be able to do your pay compliance. And I just called and I said, I can't remember her name very well. I can't remember her name again now, but I just called and said, hello, Janet. Hi, Janet. And she just stopped. And she just sighed and said, hi, Ebenezer. You can't refer to me as Janet. I'm a 51-year-old woman with 2 kids. Please, I'll prefer to be referred to as Janet, as Mrs. blah blah blah, maybe Mrs. Adi or something like that. See, that is the peculiarity of the industry I work in. You know, it is different from where everyone you have to interact with are just your colleagues at work. For the most part, for people that are in the industry, people that you have to interact with are your colleagues that are at work. People that you sit together in the office, maybe, and if you already have that firm-wide or company-wide policy that you refer to everyone by their first name or with their initial, you just have to abide by that rule. But I mean, I'm in an industry where people have different preferences. You know, some people prefer to okay, let me relate it to you and all of those things. Let's be able to interact well. Some people will say, okay, see, there has to be this gap. No. You cannot just refer to me. You cannot not just talk to me like this. You get, so I've come to now understand that, see, in professional services, the first thing you have to understand is when you meet a client, your first job is to study that client. That's the first thing you have to do. Forget all of the things that you are coming to do. The first thing is, okay, what does he want? Because eventually, that is the people that you are indirectly working for. And I'm not saying you are trying to appeal to them, like appeal to at the expense of what you're supposed to do. You know, what I'm just saying is that you have to give a good impression of what you represent, the firm you represent. So that is for me. That's one of the things I had to learn then. So this is not about technical abilities, and again, I'm not trying to play down on technical abilities. So the second thing here, I think I have to like maybe move a little faster because of my time. Soft skills are not job specific. Yeah, I think I've mentioned that before. They are rather transferable professional skills. You know, like I said earlier, time management for accountant is time management for a software engineer. Time management for an accountant is time management for a medical doctor. Crisis management for an accountant is crisis management for a medical doctor. And there was that very particular thing I learned in management in my foundation, in my 8 years, and even in my management courses that I did in school. The fact that, and there's that factor that, or what I call it a factor, that phrase of universality of management. And what universality of management means is that management is the same everywhere, regardless of where you learned it. It is the same. The way I manage my time today, I didn't learn it when I started working. I learned it, I think I particularly learned it when I was a student. You get, so some people learn to manage their time, even from their domestic chores at home. That, okay, I have to organize my time. Okay, this is what I should do from this time to this time. This is how I can manage my time. Or this is what I'm efficient at. Like, for instance, like myself, when I was in school, I now decided that, okay, I can't be washing clothes very early in the morning because that's my most productive period. I cannot be using my most productive time to be washing clothes. Yet I cannot be using what do I do best at this time? Now I have to draw a scale of preference. Okay, I can do this thing best at this time. It's the same thing everywhere. If I say I want to switch my career today, it's still the same thing I'm going to be doing there, wherever I find myself again. So what I'm saying is that soft skills are transferable professional skills. And this is one of the things that even makes them a lot important. Soft skills fill the gap between being professional and being technical. I think we talked about that already. Being technical, you can do what they ask you to do. They say you should prepare, analyze the bank statements. They send the bank statement to you, convert it to Excel. You analyze it based on the important captions. These are technical skills. That you are not being professional for doing that. Now, the way you communicate that your analysis to the person that has given you the assignments, the way you use your dashboards, the way you communicate the results of what you have done, that is what makes you a professional. That's what makes one of the things I'm learning, paying attention to really this year is data science, data analytics, data visualization, how to communicate data, how to communicate information. You have analyzed, you have done your work, everything, but how do you communicate it to the people that are interested in it? See, that makes all of the difference between someone that is just being technical and someone that is being professional. And I believe, one skill that accountants should pay attention to at this time is financial analytics. Data analytics or financial analytics. Like when you streamline it to finance, that's one of the things that we should actually pay attention to. Because with time, you're all rising to positions where you have to communicate what you are dealing with or what you have in your hand with people, with stakeholders. You have to be able to do that appropriately because that's what makes you professional. That's what makes you professional. So I'll just read through hard skills. Hard skills, on the other hand, is they are technical skills that are required to perform a job. Hard skills are job specific. Okay, I think we are talking about that. Like in contrast to soft skills, that are job specific, and else they are most often not transferable. For instance, analyze a bank statement. I'll send you the bank statements, convert it to Excel. If you become, even within the same industry, if they move you to another unit, that may not be relevant again. That may not be relevant. I think I learned how to analyze the bank statements when I was an intern. And when I was interning, so most of our clients are SMEs. They don't have any structured bookkeeping and all of those things. So what we will ask for is just send us their bank statement. We analyze them, pay their financial statements for them. I don't do any of those things again now. See, I'm not, like I said, I think I'll continue to emphasize. I'm not trying to play down on technical abilities. What I'm just trying to say is that it's a point where we are at a point where we have to incorporate professionalism into whatever it is that we do. We have to incorporate excellence into whatever it is that we do. And that is what this meeting is about. So why are soft skills important? Why are they important? So there are notable findings that I believe that will be of interest to us. So the first one is a very common saying, say that why hard skills can get you to an interview, soft skills enable you keep and grow with the job. some people wonder why they keep getting interview invites and they are not getting the job. See, the truth is most often than not, and we will see it in the next this most often than not, the reason why you were not hired is because of the perception that the interviewer had about your personality. You know, at the interview, for instance, before they can invite you for an interview, I believe that they would have vetted your CV. Maybe you would have even written the first test. Then it will not be the time to now meet one-on-one. What the interviewer wants to see is, okay, what kind of person, what is interested in is what is he or she is interested in is what kind of person you are you? Because he believes that if you are the right person, the learning will come. You will learn the job, especially for entry level roles, and even for top position. I believe it's the same thing. Because you see, even if you know the nitty-gritty of the job, and you are going to be giving the team members, the extant team members problem, they won't hire you. And that is the reason why we have situational judgment tests and all of those things now, where they ask you, okay, have you found yourself in this particular kind of scenario? How did you handle it? What are the things you had? What are the things you did to handle this particular thing? What they're trying to see is, what they're trying to do is they're trying to get your intelligence. Like, apart from your technicalities, have you been able to handle similar situations? How did you handle it? When we bring you on board, are you not going to give our company issue? You know, so that is what it is about. So another report, LinkedIn's 2019 Global Talent Trends report showed that 92% of hiring managers says that soft skills are as important or more important than hard skills. Also, 89% of managers say that bad hires typically lack soft skills. And it's very relatable. I mean, it's very, very clear. Have you ever had anyone on the job that the person is very good, but the person is rude, has a very bad attitude to work? You know, there was one client we went to work with, and, you know, my former firm, and we got there. It was a very big client, and we got there, and there was just this guy that they said he should come and we're reviewing their board minutes. And then this guy should come and stay with us because they cannot just leave the board minutes and go away. This guy should come and stay. And the guy just came in and said, "Hi guys, I wanted to tell him that okay, you can refer to me as guy, but you cannot refer to my manager as guys, please." You know, that kind of person, he has to work on himself. You cannot just walk into a place and refer to people as "hi guys." In a professional place, if we are your friends now, that's very fine. So those are the things that we are talking about. In France, 60% of employers consider soft skills, such as the ability to organize, adapt, and work in teams, to be more important than technical competencies. However, France is far behind other developed economies when it comes to its talk of soft skills. So even France, that they are not as advanced as the likes of UK, US, you know, all of those places where professional career is like more pronounced. You have 60% of employers. The report shows that 60% of the employers, still consider soft skills in their recruitment, in their onboarding. That shows the reason why. That shows the fact that soft skills are very important. Move forward. So I think, let me see, what slide am I on now? I'm not even sure. But I think at this point, okay, let me just finish this particular slide and I'll take questions. So why soft skills are important? Again, the reasons why soft skills is inevitable for workplace success. Number one, soft skills facilitate clear communication. And clear communication is beyond what you say, it's beyond verbal communication. It's not just about talking and talking, you know. I believe much more than talking, listening is a far more important aspect of communication than talking. I believe so strongly, because if you are able to listen well, you know, internalize information, process information appropriately, talking people will not really have issue with, you know, you'll be a better communicator than someone that just likes to talk, that is very vocal and all of those things. Trust me, you'll be a better professional than that kind of person. You'll be a better communicator, you know. The second one is decision making is better and easier. I'm still going to talk about communication more, anyways. Decision making is better and easier with soft skill. For instance, skills like problem solving, critical thinking are all soft skills. ICANN may not be able to teach you that. In fact, you might have even learned it before you started your ICANN. So all of those skills helps to make better decisions, help to contribute better ideas. In a world that is rapidly changing, soft skills like adaptability, flexibility, and resilience ensure that professionals are on track with the current demands of their work. So we can see it now. I mean, I told one of my guys, I said, see, 2020 to 2021 is more than 2 years. It was more than 2 years. Because, companies actually, you see, 2020, 2021 catapulted us into the future faster. It fast-tracked a lot of years. Maybe it's so that, okay, but we are supposed to be, a lot of companies were still like doing dragging with digital transition and all of those things. When COVID hit the industries, everybody, if you want your companies to still be running, you don't have any choice. So you just have to make that transition. But you see companies that are flexible, companies that have learned adaptability prior to that time, it will be easier for them to make that transition. It will be easier for them to actually to incorporate what the demand of the industry and what is required into their work. And I mean, a lot of us are still beneficiary to that particular period. For instance, myself, now I only go to work officially twice in a week. And I was even telling, it even depends on the kind of on the engagement I am on. I was telling my friend, I said I've only been to the office 6 times this year. And I work, and I feel like it's a blessing in disguise because I work efficiently from the comfort of my home, trust me. I'll just, even if I work till like 2 a.m., like I said, I'm going to work now. I believe by 8 a.m., I'll be settled to start working. And compared to me waking up by 5, being on Lagos Road and getting to the office, when I get to the office, I'm already very tired. All of these things are the benefits of, now, companies are beginning to see that. You see, the amount of rent that we pay for this building is actually not necessary. We can actually find there are even companies that don't even have any physical presence. Trust me, especially tech companies, and they are making a lot of money. So that is what it is about. It is important in management of interpersonal skills. Like we said, soft skills is about being able to interact harmoniously with your environment, harmoniously with your team members. So this is another important of soft skills. Yeah, Theosi, thank you for that. Thank you for affirming that. Soft skills enable professionals to manage conflicts in a very efficient manner. Whether you like it or not, conflicts are going to, they are going to happen. You have like people, you just have to manage crisis. You have one rift or the other, maybe not directly with yourself, maybe just 2 of your colleagues. You have to be able to appropriately manage crisis, stand unbiased, and think, okay, what is the way forward in this kind of situation, such that this person will not think I'm on his side, this other person will not think I'm on his side. Some people still do that, even in corporate world. It happens a lot. So soft skills are things that we're able to be able to analyze very well, analyze crises, and be able to manage them appropriately. Soft skills facilitate professional growth and development. Continuous learning is a skill that is very important. Without continuous learning, you just think you are at the top of the world and you just be doing your local champion stunts. And before you know it, the world is already in 20, you are still on 5. Another thing that corroborates this point is the fact that listening, I believe listening is a very major part of professional growth and development. Listening and observation. Listening and observation is a very, very important part of professional growth and development. Being able to observe and listen. Just don't see anything, just be watching. It's a very important part. That's soft skill. Those are the reasons why soft skills are very, very important. So before I go ahead, I think I'll just take 5. The time is fast spent. I'll just take some time for for question. I think Faith can advise me. Faith, how many minutes should I take for question at this time? Okay, I think I'm even on the 7th page already. So Faith, what's how many minutes? Faith, I think you should advise me. Is Faith still on the call?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm with you, sir.
Okay, based on the time I have left, how many minutes do you think I can take for questions at this point? I don't want to take everything at the end of the meeting.
Okay. You can 5 minutes for question now. Is okay.
5 minutes for questions. So okay, if I'll just take it means I'll just maybe take 2-3 people right now. If you have any questions so far from where we started till this point, please. Okay, Choma Okori and Idris Abubakar are raising their hand. Is there any other person? One more person. Look at the first 3 people. Choma Okori, Idris Abubakar. Faith, I think please help me and do this. So.
Okay, no
Choma
problem.
Okori, Idris Abubakar, and the last person. Okay.
Okay. Chioma Okorie, you can unmute your mic now and ask your question. Chioma, you can unmute your mic. Okay, I don't think Chioma is there. Then Mr. Idris, you can ask your question now.
Hi, Ebenezer. Thanks for your wonderful presentation thus far. Okay, so when we talk about soft skills, right, its implementation in practice, especially when it comes to our day-to-day tasks, it may be somehow difficult for individuals to actually know what they are doing right and what they are doing wrongly, especially if one is in a team whereby that communication line is not overly effective. So my question is, what mechanisms do you think we as young professionals can put in place to maybe appraise ourselves on these soft skills to even know what we are doing right and what we are doing wrong at intervals, so we can even learn on those parts we are doing wrong and make sure that we are actually more effective on our day-to-day tasks?
Okay, thank you so much, Idris, for that question. It's still what we still have. Okay, some Omokunle has a question too, but I think we have to keep your question. I said you are the third person. So Idris, it's just that you are seeing ahead of my guide, because it's still part of what I'm going to talk about anyways. But let me just give you snippets. One of the things I've been saying before now, one of the things that you have to learn and do, and I believe is at the crux of all of the things that we are talking about, is to be able to study your environment. When you study your environment appropriately, it helps you to be able to know how to position yourself and interact with your environment. Of course, there are different dynamics to it, and it's part of the things that we're going to be talking about. This soft skill has 3 very important phases: the personal competence, the social competence, and the methodological competence. Personal competence is talking about, you analyzing yourself, and it speaks to self-awareness, you being able to understand, because you being able to understand who you are, the way you interact, how you work best, how you are most efficient. That is one of the things that our education has failed us in a lot. Our formal education does not actually, they teach you how to study every other thing apart from yourself. I know people just pick up bad habits, and people pick up habits in different environment, and they how would I put it now? They respond to their environments based on what the environment gives to them, and not based on who they actually are. So that is the first part of that is the first important part of soft skill, learning soft skill. You have to be able to sit down and say that, I have to be able to master myself, master my emotion. That is where emotional intelligence comes in. Master my emotion. How do I respond? How do I work best? What kind of person am I? In the past, what are the things, this situation that I found myself, how did I respond to these things? And another thing that I do, and I think I've stopped doing it now for personal reasons, is while I was in school, and since I started formal work, I've not been doing that. But while I was in school, I used to create forms, Google Forms. I would just send it to my friends and my colleagues just to analyze myself. Do you think I communicate well? What is there a particular time where you think that I could have handled something better? And I'll just take their feedback. Corporate organizations do these things because corporate organizations are also entities. We are also, of course, we are individual entities, but we are also entities. You have to be able to take feedbacks. Idris Abubakar, I don't want to beat that, but I hope I'm able to answer your question. At least.
Yes, you have actually shed more light on it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So the next person.
Very much. The next person is Samuel Omokunle. You can unmute your mic now.
Okay, Samuel Omokunle.
Are you there, Samuel Omokunle? I don't think he's there. But Seno, that Ray is really.
I think he's here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Yes, Samuel
you.
Omokunle.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for this wonderful opportunity to attend this meeting and able to answer this question, to ask this question. So my question goes thus, because in this area of soft skill, I want to look at communication skill in particular. For me, it's an area where I'm still developing myself, especially in communication skill. So I want to ask, because at work, or maybe generally, I'm an introverted person. I don't talk too much. So I will only talk when I want to talk. And I think it's affected me in a way that even when I speak, I want to communicate something, but it's another thing I'm communicating. Do you understand? So my question is, how do you help yourself as a professional in the area of communication skill to be able to communicate properly? And is communication skill just being chatty? Is that what communication skill is? Or the ability to be able to say the words in a way that the other person will?
Okay, Sam, I think I get your question perfectly. And it's a very important question, actually. So the first thing I would like to tell you is the fact that you have to, I think you can mute yourself now. The first thing I would like to tell you is the fact that you have to stop seeing being an introvert as an issue. It's not an issue at all. We all have different personality. Some people don't like to talk much, like myself too. I just watch. I don't like to talk too much. It stresses me when I talk too much, actually, except when I really have the reason to. So you have to you have to see that it's not an issue for you to be an introvert. The fact that you don't like to talk too much is not an issue. And that is one of the things I have shared earlier, like about self-awareness. This is who you are. What you now have to do is to learn how to make the best of who you are. Now, I understand what you are saying very well. And in the part, if it's in the part of communicating your ideas, now you have to work on yourself about that. And I feel like the first thing that will affect the way you communicate your ideas is when you think you have an issue being an introvert. When you think you have an issue with not always wanting to talk, there's no issue with it. See, there was something I learned. There was someone that told me something. We had this guy that is always sweating. The guy will always sweat profusely. I know someone said something Monday and it hits me actually, and it has always stayed with me. The guy told him, he said, "Do you think?" Okay, the guy said, "Okay, what the guy said was around that. It's actually it's not a disease, or it's not a crime to sweat a lot. That's the first thing the person has to understand, that it's not wrong when you sweat. It's human. It is fine when you sweat. Human beings sweat when they walk, when they are tensed, that's the first part of it. You get what I'm saying? So now, after that, then you now have to deal with, okay, what's now the reason why I sweat a lot when I'm in a situation like this? And the same thing with what you're asking now. It is not an issue to be introverted. The only thing you have to do is, how do you now channel that your personality to achieve, to still be, because you see, what makes workplace beautiful is the fact that we are all different. There are people that are very, forward. Anything, anywhere, anywhere anything is happening, you always see them there. There are people like that. And that is one of the things I'm going to be talking about. You have to respect their individuality. The fact that you are a very reserved person, and this is the issue that most reserved persons face a lot. They find it hard to communicate their ideas. Anytime they want to talk, then they start to fidget, a lot of those things. Now, that part of it, you have to work on yourself. You have to deliberately learn. You have to deliberately learn to face the crowd. You have to deliberately learn to talk to people. Do you get what I'm saying? But the first part of it, like I said, is understand that it is not an issue to be introverted. Trust me, if you keep this at the back of your mind, even at workplace, that the only thing is that your environment has to understand that this is the kind of person you are. This is the kind of person you are. There are people that stammer, and see, a lot of those guys, the reason why they stammer is because, number one, they have chosen not to accept the fact that this kind of person they are. If you accept this is who I am, then you then calm down and then analyze that, okay, what are the things I can now do better when I want to communicate my ideas? How can I now do it in a better way? Do I have to talk a little slower? Do I have to take my words one after the other? So basically, I think I have to rush through the main, but somewhere, I don't know if that helps.
Thank you.
So I think
Thank you very much.
Okay.
But
So
we are
the third
taking one
person
more question.
one more question, please.
Okay. Chioma, are you here now?
Yeah, that is what it's about. When you are not aware of who you are, you lack. When you don't even have, when you are not even aware of who you are, then how do you want to be confident in yourself? So that is it. Thank you so much for sharing that. So Omar Afik, please let's move forward, please.
Okay, sir.
Who is the third person, please? You can ask a question.
Yeah, Chioma, but I don't think she's here again, so we can move on now.
I think we can move forward.
Someone just raised up his hand. Can we take the question?
No, let's just go ahead first. Then we'll take the person as last. Okay,
No
when we are done
problem.
with our presentation. I already got a notification that my time is fast spent. So, learning soft skills. So, soft skills is just like hard skills. It can be learned. It can be learned, and I feel like if you have gone through all of these pages, maybe people that asked the question they asked would have gotten more light. Soft skills can actually be learned. Can be learned. Since soft skills are critical element for professional success, it has then become imperative that young professionals learn how to learn soft skills. So we have to learn, and there's also a way to learn soft skills. There's a way to improve your soft skills. Apart from learning those soft skills, there's a way to actually improve on your soft skills. So what are these three dynamics of soft skills? We have the personal competence. I think I mentioned that earlier. We have personal competence, we have social competence, and we have methodological competence. And all of these things, they are into one another. For instance, it will be hard for you to be able to interact appropriately or socially without having to have mastered your personality, which is what personal competence is about. So let's just move ahead. Personal competence concerns the way we deal with ourselves. It involves mastering oneself. This includes topics such as self-awareness, self-confidence, self-observation, and self-discipline. See, self-awareness, I think I've talked about that a lot in this presentation. Self-awareness, being able to understand that this kind of person I am, understanding your own emotion, understanding how you react, understanding how you work best, understanding what you like and what you don't like. The truth is that people don't understand that. Some people don't actually understand what they like. What they like is what they saw someone liked. Some people, that's what some people like. The way some people function, and you see, the one that is very, very, at the point where I had to learn this is, and I'm very sure it's something that we can all relate to. While we're on campus, then you see a lot of people. The reason why they read by 1 a.m., the reason why they go out to read at the middle of the night is because that their friend also goes out to read at the middle of the night. And eventually, they will still not pass. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to be mean, but it's just what it is. I've seen people like that, a lot of people like that. And it is because people like that have not, they have not done the first due diligence that they're supposed to do to study, okay, when is the time that I actually have when is the time that I'm most efficient? That is a core part of self-awareness. That's one of the benefits of self-awareness. Sitting down and studying yourself and studying how you interact with your environment, your immediate environment, and that is what it is about. And when you now talk about self-awareness, then you begin to talk about self-confidence. Okay, now this is the kind of person I am. Now, like someone that said is an introvert, then you are now beginning to, when you now understand and say that, okay, I see there's actually nothing wrong with being an introvert. It just means I don't like to talk so much. I'm a reserved person, Then you now begin to gain confidence in the kind of person that you are. You're not looking at anybody. This kind of person, so far it does not affect your work. So far it does not, and see, there is someone told me, I don't know how true it is. One of my bosses that I've worked with in the past, he said most accountants are not good with verbal communication. Most of them are actually good with sending letters, all of this written communication. And I think I've seen it a lot because most of the people that I've worked with, when they write things out for you rather than talking, it's just different. So maybe that's one of the things that someone will want to look at instead of always having to talk. You might want to put your ideas in a written form and send it to whoever it is that you're sending it to. Or instead of talking, just saying what things, you can also have jot down that. I think that's one of the things I learned with case study actually, how to be organized with your thoughts. So you have to learn to be organized with your thoughts. So moving ahead, so that is what personal competence is about, being able to understand yourself as an individual and also the way you impact your environment. So the second one is now social competence. Now, if you don't have a very good view of who you are, of your personality, there was one picture I saw of while I was preparing for this presentation. The person looked at herself in a mirror and was surprised at the person that she saw. That is exactly the case with a lot of us. Just try it. After this presentation, begin to pay attention to yourself. Begin to study yourself. You will see that a lot of things will change. Because then, except it's a vice, if it's not a vice, if it's just a peculiarity, the kind of person that you are, you begin to gain confidence in that personality, and then it affects the way you interact with your environment. And that is how personal competence transcends into social competence. Now, social competence is about learning to interact with other people. It is most important when it comes to interacting with one another. Interpersonal skills include teamwork, empathy, and people skills. Social competence does encompass all soft skills and concern interaction with other people. So the first part of learning soft skills is actually to learn yourself. Then the second part of it is to learn your environment, learn your society, observe what kind of person am I. There was a time I was preparing for an interview of a company that is outside the country, and one of the things I had to learn is the culture of those guys. Of course, in fact, there was time I had to work with a Norwegian guy. And one of the things I noticed is that these guys, they don't have issues with trust at all. They don't know that, and that's the reason why it's easy to actually sway these guys. They just trust effortlessly. Unlike we black guys that I'm not okay, not them, big black guys or Africans, even our siblings, we don't trust them at times. So that is what it's about. So learning your environment, learning the people that you work with, learning the kind of industry that you work in, that is the second part of learning soft skills. Then methodological competence. Then this now talks about, okay, now that you have learned the kind of person that you are and how you respond to things, you have learned your society. Now you are beginning to put a structure around these things. For instance, you have learned that I like to talk a lot. Now, it has happened to you that, okay, because you talk a lot, maybe you don't eventually, maybe there's not a lot of unnecessary things around what you are saying when you're trying to communicate your ideas. Or maybe you don't talk too much, and because of that, you are finding it very difficult to like communicate your ideas. And your environment is the kind of place where you don't have a choice. You have to talk. Now, methodological competence now says that, okay, we are now sitting down and saying that, okay, how did I organize these things? Now that I understand that this kind of person I am, this is where I work. What structure do I put around so that I'm outstanding and I'm still efficient despite my personality? Do you understand? So that's what that is about. I saw people raising up their hands. So soft skills for workplace success. I believe these things are things that we can read up. So I'm not going to be explaining. My time is already up actually. So I'm not going to be expatiating on them. Number one, well, anyone I feel like is very important, I will just talk a little on it. Number one is interpersonal skills and human relations. Of course, like someone said, we don't work with angels, we don't work with spirits, we work with human beings. So you have to learn to work with human beings. You have to learn to work harmoniously with them. You have to learn. And one part of learning to work harmoniously with people is actually understanding the peculiarity of people that you work with. The most important task of a leader is to understand the peculiarity of his team member, of his or her team members, understand the peculiarity of the people that he or she works with. And it's not only for leaders, even for young professionals as well. Understanding the strengths and weaknesses of people that you work with, understand the way people take feedbacks. And you see, one of the things I failed to mention when I was talking about personal competence is taking feedbacks. How do you take feedbacks? It's a very, very important part of learning soft skills. How do you take feedback? It's a very, very important aspect, rather, of professional growth and development. So interpersonal skills, you have to understand your environment, and you're not trying to change the people that you work with. You're trying to understand their peculiarity and embrace their difference, embrace their peculiarity. That is what it is about. Second one is adaptability and continuous learning skills. I mean, these are things, this is what, a lot of us are about to face. The fact that our industry, the world in itself is changing at a very rapid pace. Like 2 years ago, tax consultants run from one tax office to the other and all of that, trying to file and all of these things. Right now, you'd have seen tax offices always be filled up, and all of those things don't have to happen again. Why? Because there's now Tax Pro Max. And now if you fail to now learn the fact that things will continue to change and learn how to learn ahead of change. There's a way to actually learn ahead of change. There's a way to position yourself ahead of change. My firm now, the softwares that we use for our audit and all of that has changed from just last financial year to this financial year. So all of those things, you have to be home with the fact that change is a constant thing. And you have to learn how to position yourself so that your response is appropriate, so that you actually have the necessary skill to actually take on what the environment now demands of you. So the third one is communication, and I think I've even overflogged that. Communication is much more than talking. Samuel said that he does not really like talking. Communication is far beyond that. Communication, I believe, like I said, that I believe so well that if you are someone that listens well, you are a better communicator than someone that just talks a lot. And that is what it is. Creative and critical thinking. I mean, in the kind of environment where I work, this is a very, very big deal. It's a very, very big deal because of the level of client that we work with and the fact that the environment is, you just have to contribute. You just have to say something. How do we deal with this? You have to be solution oriented. When you see a problem, it's not about, okay, why is this thing like this? It's about, okay, how can this thing be better? How can we solve this particular issue? That is what that is about. Leadership, I've talked about leadership already. Leadership is being able to manage people. Leadership is being able to sell your vision. Like someone said, if you are not able to communicate and sell a vision, you're just like a guy taking a stroll in a park. You're not a leader. As a leader, you have to be able to learn the peculiarities of your people, the people that you work with, what are their strengths and weaknesses. So you are able to like appropriately like you are able to appropriately administer that human resources, because your team members are human resources. That is what that is about. Teamwork, how you position yourself. I think that this one is already even self-explanatory. For you to be a very good team member, you have to, number one, learn your environment. And what is your environment about? You have to learn what kind of people do you work with. For instance, if you work with an Asian, if you work with Chinese people, for instance, or with Asian guys, for instance, it will just do you good to learn their culture. It will do you good to learn, okay, what are the things that you like, what are the things that you do not like, it will help you a lot. And that is what respect for individual is about. For you to be a good team member, you have to have that respect for individual. Okay, this is the kind of person this person is. You celebrate it for him. He likes to be called Mr. Fine, Mr. It's not, and you're not being hypocritical about it. You're just like celebrating that uniqueness, and you have to understand that unique peculiarities and differences what makes workplace beautiful. That is what that is about. Time management. How do you manage your time? Your time is a resources. What time do you work best? What time are you most efficient? You have to I believe this. If self-awareness will do a lot of good in this. The fact that you understand yourself, the time that you work best, the time that you just analyze, draw your scale of preference and put a time to it. But if you don't understand yourself and how you work, you may not be able to do this appropriately. So solving skills is very related to creative and critical thinking, because when you think creatively and critically, it's so that solution can come out. It's not just for thinking sake. So that solution can come out. So problem solving skill is you being able to cognitively bring out solution ideas, genuine ideas that can bring progress to the work that is at hand. So basically that is what that is about. Now there's one very particular thing, and I believe is the last one: emotional intelligence. See, if you learn soft skills and you do not learn emotional intelligence, you have not actually learned anything. You have not actually learned anything. Yeah, I said emotional intelligence is to workplace success what Kevin De Bruyne is to Man City, or Luka Modric is to Real Madrid team. Luka Modric is the one that connects everyone on the field. Pardon me if you don't watch football. Pardon me if you are not a sports person. But when I think about emotional intelligence and I think about it in line with soft skills, that is what comes to my mind. Emotional intelligence is what connects every other factor in soft skill. Every other factor. And see, there's no how you can actually be outstanding in your professional workplace without being emotionally intelligent. Emotional intelligence is not a one-day thing. It's something that you have to deliberately learn over and over and over again. You have to get better at, And the fact that I'm going taking the session does not mean that I'm not also working on myself in that regard. So how does Luka Modric, for instance, how does he? Luka Modric is one of my best footballer, anyways. But he did something very strong to me. I think it was even last season itself. Without that Luka Modric assist, just would have scaled to the final. If you know, you know.
Yes, I know.
Thank you, Damilola.
Yes, we know.
So what I'm trying to say is that, see, Luka Modric in that middle is one that connects the striker, the people that are at the front, and the people that are at the back. The same thing with Kevin De Bruyne. Of course, I heard that they are not a very good replacement for him in the Man City team. Because without that guy in the middle, that position will just be there. The hole will just be there. There won't be assists. The defenders will have a lot of work to do. So the same thing with emotional intelligence to soft skill. So it's a basic prerequisite for all soft skills. Our emotional competence determines how we can deal with our own emotions and the emotions of those around us. So emotional intelligence has graduated from you just being aware of your emotions and how you interact and how they allow you to respond to things. It's now also about you being aware of the emotions of people that are and giving due regard to the emotions of people around you. And that's where we talk about empathy. Without being aware of, without being sensitive to the emotions of people around you, there's no how you want to exhibit empathy. For instance, someone is sad, it's not like, and you're not saying that you have to do this work, you have to do this work, or you're not ready, you're not even ready to listen to that person. And all of, you see, there's no how the work can be done efficiently in that way. Or for instance, if you think, and this has happened to me a lot, and I'm already wrapping up. You know, the professional service firm I used to work. I think the second professional service firm I worked, we had clients that paid 20K as their VAT paid. So they were just simple transactions that if you go on, when you want to file, there are no complexities at all. So then I got to a place where, you know, where you have to do like a lot of things just to arrive at the VAT payable. You know, where I was coming from, the only thing we do is place your 7.5% on your revenue, on your sale, place your 7.5% on your cost of sale or your cost of purchase, or your purchases rather, you know, or the cost of your goods sold rather, not your purchases. And when you do 7.5% of your sales, you have your output VAT. When you do 7.5% of your cost of purchases, cost of goods sold rather, cost of goods sold rather, that's your input VAT. When you subtract both, then you have your VAT payable. But then I got to a firm where we now have clients that pay 20 million on a monthly basis for their VAT. Clients that are in petroleum industry and all of those clients that they have one credit or the other, and then you have to, you know, my head wanted to burst. What is all this by? But eventually I had to understand that, you know, and the truth was that at some point, when you even think, when they even give you some work and you feel like you have done your best to this work and everything, and you submit the work to your line manager, the person is like, okay, what is this? What is that you have done? You know, it takes emotional intelligence because those things actually get to you. Especially if you are the local champion where you are coming from. And you now get to a place where it now looks like they are not even seeing what you are doing at all. No, I know a lot of people will be able to relate. No, that's emotional intelligence will help you to be able to like take feedbacks appropriately. It will help you to like be able to respond, you know, to things, like respond to things around you appropriately. It's emotional intelligence starts from you actually understanding your own emotion and being able to label your emotion appropriately. You being able to label your emotion appropriately. Someone said, your line manager said to you, what rubbish is this? My head banged me. So that is it. So, I mean, the training does not stop here. I believe that we'll also go in our private places and also do more diligence to learn all of these things. Because trust me, even if you are the best accountant, like in terms of knowing how to use accounting software and all of the technicalities, you don't have all of these skills that we are talking about, you have little or nowhere to get to, actually, being quite frankly. So, I mean, that is the aim of this training, to advocate the fact that emotional intelligence, the fact that soft skills are actually very, very important to, you know, workplace success as professionals. Thank you so much, FBP, for having me. So I will take a little, maybe 2 or 3 questions.
Thank you very much, Ebenezer. Thank you very much for that very
Thank you so much.
amazing session. So again, Mr.
Thank you so
Ebenezer
much.
said he's taking questions, and I can see
2
some
questions, please, because
2
I
questions.
have I've gotten like, okay, yeah, 2 questions, but then
2 questions.
if you have like some other questions, feel free to drop it on the WhatsApp group page, so that if the response would also be beneficial to other people.
Okay, please, and yeah, the link to the WhatsApp page is already in the chat box, so you can join using that link. Damilola Olusegun, you can ask your question, unmute your mic and ask.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Please, I have just two questions. My question is that first one, how can I avoid being afraid when I want to speak publicly? Because as a stammerer, if you want to speak publicly, you'll be afraid. How will I speak? I like to speak normally, and people know to look at that's why I'm speaking. So how will I avoid being afraid if I want to speak publicly? But I speak like to my colleague or like that. But if I want to speak to the public, I'm always afraid to speak. So how can I avoid that? So that's the first one. So the second one is when okay. The second one is that when speaking. Okay, please answer the first one. I want to try to organize the second one. Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know I muted myself. So sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
I think I should take the second one as well, then I'll answer both together.
okay. So the second one is that like if I want to speak slowly, I'm always planning to speak slowly. If I want to talk to maybe I want to talk. If I want to speak to my colleagues like that, but I will end up speaking fast. And when I speak fast, I will be stammering. So I don't know how to speak slowly. Like, talking to someone, I want to speak very slow, but I can't speak slow because I will end up talking fast. So how can I solve that?
Okay. I think I can take the next person. I will answer the questions together. I'll just take them one after the other.
Please, there's someone else that is raising up his hand.
Okay.
Mr. Dare, are you here? Mr. Dare. Okay. Mr. Dare, are you with us? I don't think he's here, so we can take
Take just the two questions, right? Okay. So Damilola to Samuel the other time. See, you have to understand that people are actually different.
Hello, I'm talking.
Oh, you were muted, Damilare.
Yes. Sorry, please. I will have asked my question since the benefit of soft skill, but my question is almost interrelated of what some guys have already asked in this platform. Because now my own I've even turned it to prayer point because I don't understand. Maybe it's no, sir. It's not a laughing matter. In my former place of work, I communicate well. You understand? This boldness is there, but in my current job, sir, I don't know. Maybe something translates my tongue. Sorry, no. When a thing become an issue, it's not you be finding it that what is happening to you. In my former place of work, people listening to me as I don't understand. But this one now, I don't understand. To communicate is like I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling. I'm not. I don't just know. So I don't know what to do. I've turned it to prayer point to the extent that I have to pray against it. I say, Father, what is attacking my voice or what is attacking? So, sir, I just need advice. Thank you.
I got that. Yeah. Okay, I think
I think we have one more person. Can we take one more person? Abib Insua, you can unmute your mic. Abib Inusa.
Okay.
Abib Yunusa, if you are here, unmute and ask your question. I think it was a mistake.
Sorry, it was a mistake.
Oh, that's fine.
There's one question in the chat box. Should I read it out?
Okay, please do that. I think I saw it too.
Okay, it says, I'm patiently learning to listen, but my boss is not a person that listens, even after you have given him a listening ear. He doesn't give you a chance to explain yourself. How do I handle this situation?
Okay, so I think all of the questions that we have are related to communication, and I will take. So please remind me of the name of the person that asked the first question. Damilola. Okay. Damilola like very at the first and the second person. I think they asked almost very similar questions. Dari and Amilola asked like almost the same question. And the first thing I would like to say is that see, you have to understand that we have all been formed like in different, like we have different personalities. I think that is the first thing to understand. And talking fast is not a crime. It's not a disease. It's not. It's not a disease at all. If I had like someone I respect a lot, that if you don't calm down very well to listen to what he's saying, you might not even be able to get what he's saying. The reason why I'm saying this is that, see, when you begin to think that talking fast is a problem, it affects your confidence in yourself. It affects the confidence that you have in yourself. And what that does is it does not help the matter at all. It even worsens the matter, because then you then prefer to keep to yourself, or and the point I'm trying to make is that talking fast is not a problem. What you have to tackle is being able to communicate your idea. Being able to communicate your idea. Someone that thinks that you have a problem by talking fast is the one that has a problem. That's the truth. So, and that is the point of being self-aware. That, okay, this is the kind of person I am. I talk fast. Even if I don't want to train myself, like, not to take things a bit slowly, it should not be because I think I have a problem with myself. It should be for it should be for a more positive reason. It should be for a more positive reason that, okay, maybe I want to be able to communicate my idea as well. In fact, one of my one-time senior partners, one of them I've worked with, talks really fast. If I mention him, someone that we all know very well. But when you listen to him, you know that he knows what he's talking about. He's a very, very intelligent person. But if you turn off yourself because this person talks fast, you are the one that has the issue. I'm not the one that. So that is that's the first point of call, and that is where you not see. If the truth is that a lot of people now, the reason why they talk fast or the reason why they are tense when they speak is not because they cannot speak appropriately. It's because they have lost confidence or they don't have that confidence. And the first point of getting that confidence back is in knowing that there's nothing wrong with you for talking fast. Now, when you know that, then you begin to like now learn. Trust me, every like someone said, he said that people that eventually turn out best in every habit were like at some points the opposites of who they were. Let me give you an instance. If, for instance, I play drums, for instance, and I play open hand, so my left hand used to give me a lot of issues, and my left hand is some people that are music oriented will understand what I'm talking about. My left hand used to give me a lot of issues because I don't really use it for a lot of things, so it is very weak. It was very weak. So eventually, I had to now pay attention on actually rehearsing on my left hand, such that when I rehearsed 5 minutes on my right hand, I rehearsed 10 minutes on my left hand. So now I've recognized that, okay, this is one weakness that I've had. Now I have to pay more attention to that weakness. Now, the fact that my left hand was not as flexible and fast as my right hand wasn't an issue. It wasn't an issue at all. And that's the first thing I have to understand. Now saying that I've not said that, okay, this my left hand is an issue. Let me try to learn how to use my right hand. You see, that left hand will still be stiff. But I have to now work on my right hand such that now my left hand is much more flexible and faster than my right hand. So that is the point of call. Now that you have understood, okay, it is not actually an issue to speak faster. What you just have to now do is that now that you have that confidence that there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. See, the next point of duty is now to begin to pay attention to it. How to communicate. Communication is skill, is an art. It can be learned. It can be learned. There are courses on communication. There are courses on communication skills. That you then begin to Yeah, thank you so much, Dele Samson. There's not every issue that is from your village. You just have to pay. Maybe you have to pay more attention. But like I said, from my own experience, I realized that a lot of people that talk that are not able to communicate. This is not because they cannot communicate well. It's because of lack of confidence. It's because of lack of confidence, not because they cannot communicate well. It's because they have lost confidence in themselves. So if you get that point of being self-aware and realizing that you don't have any issue with yourself, you will see that eventually you don't even have to do much work on your communication skills. Everything will just dive. Trust me. There's nothing wrong with you. There's absolutely nothing wrong with talking. Even if you now have to be someone that talk fast, then you now begin to find a way around it. Okay, I'm a very fast talker. So how do I then how do I then communicate to people, even with my personality, with the kind of person I am, and yet people will now still get what I say? White people, have you heard a British man talk before? A typical British man talk. They are very fast when they talk. In fact, if you are not someone that is so, if you are not someone that has learned listen to them and listen to them over time, you may not be at first, may not be able to get everything that they say. They don't see it as an issue. So why are you seeing it? So, there's that place of inferiority complex when it comes to confidence where you begin to feel like, okay, I think there's something wrong with me. No, you have to deal with that first. After dealing with that, then you're now learning. There's a reason why I'm beating this part of you actually knowing yourself, being self-aware. Then when you are sure that you have done that and understand that you are comfortable with the kind of person that you are, then you can begin to learn the skill. And begin to learn the skill. I hope that answers the question. So that rate is not a problem from your village. Trust me, we have all been there. So that is that about that. So the last question, please. Exactly, Ayodele Samson. Exactly. So the last question, please. Can you read it out again? I think I lost thought of that question.
Is it the one that is in the chat box?
Yeah, the chat box. Yeah, please.
Okay, so the person said, I am patiently learning to listen, but my boss is not a person that listens, even after you have given him a listening ear. It doesn't give you a chance to explain yourself. How do I handle this situation?
Okay, I'm always patiently listening. Okay. So if I want to be frank with this question, because the truth is that a lot of people that say that they listen, they actually do not listen. Or rather, they do not understand what it means to listen. That is it. Because the truth is, if you actually say that you listen, listening actively, is different from you listening with a mindset or with a bias already in your mind. And I understand the reason why I'm saying this, because I've had to deal with this a lot of time. So I'm not just going to play to please the person that asks the question. A whole lot of time when we say that we listen. Number one, some people don't take feedbacks constructively, appropriately. So when people are telling them something that they ought to do, they already have that guard in their mind, that affects what they are being told. So you have to actually, first of all, be sure that you have dealt well with yourself and are sure that you actually know what listening is about. And let me just use this opportunity to tell you that listening is not just waves of sound entering your ears. Listening is as you are getting the information, you are internalizing it, and you are internalizing it, and you are processing the information. You are processing a lot of time. Let me tell you the truth. A lot of time, what I have noticed for myself, a lot of time, if I listen appropriately, I have noticed that I won't most of the time have immediate feedbacks. I will just go back to work. That's the truth. But a lot of times, we have this guard in our mind that when this person is talking to me, you're just waiting for him to finish so that you can also see your own back. You have to be sure that that's not what you are doing, first of all. You have to be sure that that is not what you are doing, because trust me, that is not a good thing. That is not a good thing. You have to be a good listener. And like I said, it is more important for you to listen than for you to talk. So when you are saying that your boss is not giving you a listening ear, trust me, it's not so much of an important thing for you to actually talk back to your boss. just go and do the work and implement all the things that you have told you, or maybe even go a little bit more than the things that you have told you. And just instead of talking to him or explaining yourself, just do what he has actually told you and give him the results. That would do a better communication than you talking back. Trust me. Trust me. I hope I've been able to answer that question. Like, that person that asked that question, I don't want to like do a bad job in answering that question. If there's any peculiarity to what you actually say, please you can share. You can mute yourself and share. But if that is not, I believe, if I've answered your question, I believe that should suffice. So please, the person that asked the question, please, I would like to know if that answers your question or if there's any peculiarity to the
Yes, yeah, what's up my question, sir?
Okay,
Yes, sir,
right.
what's up my question?
Was it Damilola that asked the question? Oh,
Okay, is it
I didn't know.
the question at the chat
Yeah,
box?
I'm talking about the question in the chat box, so not.
Okay,
Oh, no, sorry, it's not me. It's not.
Radiant Webster was the one that asked the question. Radiant Webster.
Okay.
Okay.
Radiant, I don't know. Do you think I've done justice to your question? Maybe the person not willing. You can put it in the chat box too. If you think I've answered your question, please. Okay, I feel like okay. I think that suffices. So thank you so much once again for having me on this wonderful session. It's a privilege. Okay, well, Radiant said I have. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's a big privilege for me to share back. I'm grateful. Thanks once again.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ebenezer, for honoring our invitation. Like, we learned a whole lot, and thank you for doing justice to our various questions. Thank you very much. Please, once again, if you want to join our community, that WhatsApp, LinkedIn, and also the link to Mr. Ebenezer's LinkedIn is in the chat box. You can use it. And yes, we normally have the meet and chat with professionals every month, so you should look forward to the April edition. And once again, thank you everyone for taking your time this evening to come and join us today. Thank you very much, and see you next month. Bye bye.